Did you know that joint pain is one of the leading reasons older adults lose their independence? Imagine waking up, ready to embrace another day, only to feel that familiar ache creeping through your knees or hips. You might think you're doing everything right by choosing healthy foods, yet the reality could be far more complicated. If you're over 70 and still eating certain staples that everybody labels as nutritious, you might be quietly harming your joints. And doctors often won't mention this until the damage has already begun. Today, we're uncovering 5 supposedly good-for-you foods that may be your joints' worst enemies. Stick with me because the 5th item on the list is especially shocking, and it's something millions of seniors eat every single day without a second thought. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which hidden culprits might be triggering your inflammation and how a few simple changes can help you reclaim mobility, reduce pain, and keep you feeling strong for years to come. You'll also discover the key mistake that almost everyone over 70 makes, one that can make or break your chances of staying active well into your 90s. Let's dive in. The reason this matters so much is more than just comfort. When your joints hurt, everything you love gets harder. Gardening becomes an exhausting chore. A leisurely walk around the block can feel like a marathon. Playing with grandchildren, once a joyful highlight, starts to seem impossible. And it doesn't stop at pain. Joint issues are closely linked to reduced bone density and diminished muscle mass, 2 factors that can accelerate aging faster than most people realize. Every year, thousands of older adults end up in the hospital because of falls or fractures tied to arthritis and joint strain. Here's the truly eye-opening part: some of these problems aren't just a natural result of getting older, they're fueled by foods that many well-meaning doctors or nutritional guides still list as healthy. But if you dig a bit deeper, you'll find emerging research that challenges these outdated ideas. Certain ingredients provoke chronic inflammation in aging bodies, slowly wearing down the cartilage that protects our joints. And if your cartilage keeps thinning, that's a direct road to pain, stiffness, and an ever-worsening cycle of limited mobility. If you're feeling that pinch in your shoulder when you reach for the top shelf, or that grinding sensation in your knees every time you stand, you're not alone. Millions of seniors dismiss these symptoms as just part of getting older. But in many cases, it's our everyday diet, particularly those innocent foods we've been told to trust, that's fueling the fire. Let's talk about the first culprit. Picture this: you're trying to be heart healthy, so you swap your morning toast from white bread to 100% whole wheat. Sounds like a wise decision, right? Whole wheat bread has been touted for decades as a great source of fiber and nutrients. But here's the catch: gluten and wheat lectins can trigger inflammation in sensitive individuals, especially in older adults. Over time, our bodies become less adept at handling inflammatory compounds. For seniors dealing with arthritis or other joint problems, these proteins can aggravate the tissues surrounding the joints, heightening pain and stiffness. That slice of whole wheat toast you've been proud to consume every morning might be contributing to the very aches you're trying to manage. Now, not everyone experiences the same intensity of symptoms. Some people have a high tolerance, while others react more strongly. But if you've noticed your joints feel more swollen on days you consume more wheat products, bread, pasta, cereals, it's worth paying attention. Cutting back or experimenting with gluten-free alternatives could be a game changer. Many older adults, after removing or reducing wheat products, report feeling lighter on their feet and less burdened by morning stiffness. It's not a guarantee for everyone, but it's a simple test that might provide huge relief. And think about it: if reducing or even replacing the daily slice of toast could restore a little pep in your step, wouldn't it be worth a shot? The second healthy food might shock you even more. Low-fat yogurt. For decades, we've been hammered with messages about how anything low in fat must be healthy, especially for seniors watching their cholesterol. And yogurt, with its calcium and probiotics, sure sounds like the perfect choice for strong bones and good digestion. Yet many low-fat versions are packed with added sugars, flavorings, and artificial thickeners. That sugar spike can lead to increased inflammation over time, because diets high in refined sugars are notoriously linked to inflammatory responses in the body. But it's not just the sugar. Some dairy proteins can also aggravate joint inflammation, particularly if you already have sensitivities. People over 70 often have decreased enzyme activity for fully digesting dairy, meaning that it sits in the gut longer, contributing to inflammation. If you notice more bloating or discomfort after having your beloved cup of strawberry-flavored, low-fat yogurt, that's your body sending a warning. One of the most surprising comments I hear from seniors is, "I cut out my low-fat yogurt, and my knees stopped throbbing when I walked." That might sound extreme, but the body is complex. A slight change in what we consume can dramatically affect how we move and feel every day. If you're concerned about calcium, there are plenty of leafy greens or simpler dairy alternatives that might be gentler on your system. Don't let clever marketing overshadow the possibility that your healthy habit might be fueling inflammation. The third one you might be eating every day with full confidence: vegetable oils used in cooking. This includes seemingly benign choices like canola oil, soybean oil, or corn oil. These are often promoted as heart-healthy because they're lower in saturated fats than butter. But research over the past decade suggests that the ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids in many vegetable oils is alarmingly high. And this matters for your joints because too much omega-6 can tip the body toward a pro-inflammatory state. In other words, if you're constantly cooking with these oils, you're bathing your cells in a biochemical environment that supports inflammation rather than fighting it. Seniors already grapple with lower levels of the hormones and nutrients that help regulate inflammation, so this imbalance becomes even more dangerous. Instead, try using extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil, which boast a healthier fatty acid profile. Or consider a small amount of real butter if you're not dairy sensitive. Its ratio of fats tends to be less inflammatory for many people. The point is to swap out those refined vegetable oils as often as you can. Some seniors notice that when they cut back on these oils, their joint flare-ups subside, or they can go up the stairs more comfortably. It's not magic, it's just your body finally getting relief from a hidden chemical storm. Now let's tackle a fourth staple: nightshade vegetables. Yes, they're loaded with vitamins and antioxidants, but for certain sensitive folks, tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, and even potatoes can be trouble. Nightshades contain alkaloids that may trigger inflammation in individuals already susceptible to joint pain, especially those dealing with rheumatoid arthritis. You'd never suspect a bowl of tomato soup or a few slices of eggplant parmesan to be behind your knee stiffness, but that's exactly what can happen if you're one of those with a nightshade sensitivity. It doesn't affect everyone, yet older adults often find that their bodies handle these foods poorly with age. If you've tried every medication under the sun yet still feel that persistent ache, it might be worth doing a short experiment. Eliminate nightshades for a few weeks and carefully monitor how your joints feel. Remarkably, quite a few seniors report a reduction in swelling, fewer painful flare-ups, or less morning stiffness. It might be the last thing you'd suspect, especially since tomatoes and peppers are typically praised for their vitamin content. But the key takeaway here is that healthy can be subjective. What's beneficial for one person might quietly sabotage another, especially in the realm of joint health. The fifth healthy food, though, is the real shocker: oatmeal. Yes, oatmeal, that same bowl you've been told is the perfect breakfast to start your day. In many respects, oatmeal is a great source of soluble fiber and can help with cholesterol management. But here's the twist: for some seniors, certain compounds in oats can irritate the lining of the gut, especially if the oats aren't certified gluten-free. Cross-contamination is common, and even pure oats still contain a protein called avenin, which in sensitive individuals can act somewhat like gluten. If your body is already in a state of chronic low-level inflammation, that morning bowl of oatmeal may fan the flames. And let's not forget the typical add-ons: brown sugar, dried fruit packed with sulfites, or sweetened granola for extra crunch. All of this can result in elevated sugar levels and further aggravation of joints. Maybe you've shrugged off that twinge in your fingers as just arthritic hands, but have you noticed it gets worse an hour or two after breakfast? Could your innocent-looking oatmeal be a contributing factor? The scientific consensus isn't universal on this yet, but there's enough anecdotal evidence from older adults to consider a closer look. If oatmeal is part of your daily ritual and your joints consistently protest, it may be worth mixing things up. Perhaps you switch to a protein-rich breakfast or a different grain like buckwheat. You might just notice a difference in how your joints feel throughout the day. Now, let me share the most crucial, eye-opening fact about these foods and joint health. A lot of seniors assume that once you develop arthritis or chronic joint pain, there's no turning back. They resign themselves to living with the ache. But modern science shows us that cartilage, while slow to heal, can often regenerate or at least strengthen itself under the right circumstances. Inflammation is a key enemy of that process. If you manage to reduce even a fraction of the inflammation, whether by changing your diet, adjusting your cooking oil, or eliminating a specific irritant, your joints get a window of opportunity to recover. This is why cutting out those 5 healthy foods, if they're triggers for you, can be transformative. What's shocking is that doctors don't always emphasize how powerful simple dietary tweaks can be. You don't have to rely solely on prescription meds or painful interventions. Your fork can be one of your best tools for healing. That might sound like an exaggeration, but the body's inflammatory process is intimately tied to what we consume. A well-known study in older adults with rheumatoid arthritis showed that an anti-inflammatory diet drastically improved pain scores within a few weeks, less medication, fewer flare-ups, and better mobility. For so many seniors, it can be the difference between feeling chained to a chair and dancing at a grandchild's wedding. And that, in my eyes, is the most significant, exhilarating fact of all: you can still take charge, even if you're well past 70. We've covered a lot of ground. Maybe you're sitting there thinking, do I have to give up all my favorite foods? The truth is, you don't necessarily have to eliminate everything completely. It's about understanding your body's signals. Some people do perfectly fine with tomatoes but can't tolerate wheat. Others find that just switching from canola oil to olive oil takes the edge off their knee pain. Knowledge is your greatest weapon. Experiment, keep a simple journal of what you eat and how your joints feel each day, and see where the patterns lie. No single doctor or dietitian can tell you exactly what will or won't hurt your joints. You have to do a bit of detective work yourself. But by testing small changes, you can discover the big difference in how your body responds. Also, keep in mind that hydration, gentle exercise, and stress management play vital roles in supporting joint health. Even the best dietary tweaks won't fix everything if you're perpetually dehydrated or if you never move your joints through their range of motion. Balance is key. If you're craving that occasional bowl of oatmeal, perhaps add some anti-inflammatory ingredients like cinnamon or ginger, and make sure it's truly gluten-free. The point is not about living in fear of foods, but rather approaching your choices with open eyes and a willingness to adapt. And here's my final call to action. Don't settle for a life hobbled by pain just because you've hit 70 or beyond. You deserve to continue doing the things you love, visiting the park, volunteering, playing with the little ones, without wincing each time you move. Take a closer look at your diet, especially these 5 sneaky foods that might be sabotaging your joints under the guise of health. Try cutting them out or at least swapping them for less inflammatory alternatives. See how your body responds over a couple of weeks. If you notice less stiffness, easier mornings, or a greater willingness to move around, you'll know you're on the right track. And once you start experiencing even a small improvement, it becomes so much easier to keep going. In fact, I challenge you to take a brief inventory of your current daily menu right now. What do you typically eat for breakfast? Which oils do you cook with? Do you rely heavily on certain grains or nightshade veggies without realizing they could be hurting you? Awareness is the first step to real transformation. Your joints have been working tirelessly for 70+ years to keep you mobile. Now is the time to give them the love and attention they deserve. If you found value in these insights, remember to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because in our next video, we'll dive deeper into the hidden additives in everyday grocery items that can also aggravate joint inflammation. You won't want to miss it. And if you have any personal stories or tips about managing joint pain, drop them in the comments below. Your experience might just inspire someone else to reclaim their health. Let's keep this conversation going, because none of us have to accept pain as our permanent companion. Make these simple adjustments, keep moving, and watch as your joints thank you by granting you the freedom to enjoy life on your own terms. Stay strong, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next video.